Hi, everybody. Good morning. May the peace of Jesus be with each one of you. Because without peace, we become pieces. So, where do I begin? My topic is faith, which gives us the grace to face crisis. And I got this faith from my mom, my mother, who was very spiritual, very religious, a sick person, diabetes. She conceived me when she was in her late 40s or, when a woman couldn't conceive. A lot of miracles, a lot of testimonies in my life. But one thing she said, always turn to Jesus, always turn to Christ, and He'll do everything for you. But you've got to trust in Him, have that faith. So as a young boy, naughty, not doing my homework, she used to scold me. And I was a very good student, 100 in maths, science. But there's one subject I hated, second language, Hindi. I used to always fail in Hindi. First term fail, second term fail, third term fail. The final term, I was desperate because if I would fail in Hindi and get top marks in all other subjects, I wouldn't go to the next class. So I remember one year I was so desperate, I felt hopeless. I started crying in front of my mom. I think I was in class 8 or something like that. And I said, Mummy, I'm going to fail this year. Why? I haven't studied. 12 chapters, I only know 2 chapters. Don't worry, son. Sit down. Those days there were no TVs. Don't get distracted. Don't go out and play. But do your best. But please study. And He'll do the rest. But you have to study. Jesus won't do miracles for you. You have to put in your effort. Then something will happen. Just do that. So that gave me the little courage to learn up my chapters. And I spent, I don't know, till about 11 at night. Whatever I could remember. And I said, Mommy, I've done it. Jesus will do His part. Yes, we are partners. So I gave my exam. And the pass mark was only 36. I got a 42 or something like that. I said, wow, I did it. You studied, no? That's why you passed. Now study. So then I learned my first lesson. You do your part. You've got your homework, do your homework. You've got to pay attention in class, pay attention in class. And do your best and He will do the rest. So that is how I grew up. Be honest with what you've got to do. Do your part. Be sincere in what you do. And the results will show. So if I come to my career, when I first started working, I was still in college. St. Xavier's, Calcutta. I'm from Calcutta. Now I'm a Bangalorean. So I would go to college early in the morning, 6 to 9:40, then rush off to work, then come back, give tuitions, then play badminton in the club. And then my day would end at 11 and get up at 6 in the morning to be in college. So I was still not mature, even though I had got a job, and I would bunk work. Pretend to go out to the field to meet some clients, and I'd be sitting at a movie, a noon show, and come back, oh, I met the client, and this and that. My mom had died when I was 18. So my dad, who was in the ship, said, son, don't do that. Be sincere with your work. Don't do all these things. I said, okay, Dad. And I said, okay, forget about bunking movies and going out and all that. Let's be serious with my work. And then I found that when I put my heart and soul in my work, I started getting appreciated by my seniors. And wherever I met people, courtesy, namaskara, whatever, and they began to like me at the efforts I put in my work. And I got recognized. So then I graduated. I got a job in Cosmetize Menezes. And from day one, I said, I'm going to put my heart and soul in my career. And I did it. I put aside all distractions, girlfriends, parties, outings. And from the moment I'd step into the office, that was everything to me. And because of that, I did very well. My bosses, my directors who were from Goa, they said, you're going to be the next person who will take over this company. And I became the assistant to the manager, and I got 3 promotions in 10 years. Then I found out that there were people who were jealous of me. And I wouldn't get the cooperation that I expected. Accounts assistant officer, but my staff was not willing to do things for me. They were jealous. And at times I got so depressed, so frustrated. I said, Jesus, I'm doing my best. Why aren't they cooperating with me? I said, oh, they're jealous of me. So I went out and made friends with them. Let me help you with this. Can you teach me this? Nobody wanted to teach me. The accounts officer didn't want to teach me all the tricks of trade, even though I'd learned it in college. But somehow, they say there's always a gap between theory and practice. So I was struggling with that. So I would stay behind after work. I had the keys. And quietly I would open out the books and find out what he had done to reconcile accounts. And somehow I was able to. I was a performer in my office. And even though I didn't get the cooperation of my entire staff, even the manager who was for me in the beginning turned against me. That gave me a very bad blow, and I said, I'll do my best, that's it. And somehow the worst of problems, I was able to handle it. So I moved on. I went abroad, Saudi, for better prospects. Even there, I was threatened because I was in charge of a big warehouse, and the staff, they were very good in manipulating stock and unethical practices. And when I discovered what they were doing, and I was the one that could expose them and I could sack them, they all turned against me. In fact, the person who was in charge before I took over walked into my room, touched me by my shoulder, and he said, "Hum tuko spot karega." He threatened me. He said, "Keep your mouth shut. You just do what we do." I said, "You can do anything to me, but you believe in Allah, Jesus for me." And one day I was threatened in the warehouse. A driver who was known to be a murderer walked into the warehouse, closed the door, and he came up to me. "You're acting smart." I said, "I'm not acting smart, I'm doing my duty." "Watch it." I said, "What will you do with me, Akbar bhai? I can do anything to you." I said, "You can do it, but I'm not your enemy. Let's work together." And he froze. And there was one incident where he walked into a warehouse because he didn't like another driver, and he took a rod and he went to smash him up. And I stood over there. I said, "Don't do that. You're all brothers. We are brothers. We come here to work." He just looked at me. He turned towards me with that piece of iron. I looked at his eyes. "Kyun Akbar bhai? हम आपका दुश्मन नहीं है." I said, "I'm not your enemy. ये आपका भाई है. माफ कीजिए. Forgive him." He just put his hand down. He walked out. And after two days, he had to drop me all the way to my residence. You know what he did? He left me about 3 kilometers away at 12 in the noon. He says, "Jao." I said, "Okay." And I walked it. So they saw my humility. They saw that I wasn't wanting to fight back. And somehow I survived in Saudi Arabia. When I came back to India, I couldn't get a job. Why? Highly qualified, foreign returned. I did 3 diplomas over there from New Jersey in management, stores management. And I couldn't get a job in Calcutta because I was overqualified. And the pay scale was very little. And then I turned around and I said, "What wrong have I done? I've got to feed my family." And I remember whatever I'd earned in Saudi Arabia, one day I told my wife, "This is my last 100 rupee note. Jesus, after that, what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know." The next morning, I got a call. We had a landline at 7 in the morning. It was from the Daughters of St. Paul, and sister, I forget her name. She said, "Can you please come immediately?" I said, "Yes, sister." "Sister, what is it?" "He has something for you." "What is it?" No, we know that you're having a tough time. And it was 4,500. In those days, that was in, I got married in 89, 90, I think 93 or 94. 4,500 must have been like 4.5 lakhs. I said, wow. And I got a job after job, temporary jobs, and I managed for 2 years, 4 months. I couldn't get a permanent job, but somehow there's always food on the table. That is the faith that, led me on. Then I got a job in PN Writer, and over there also, they all said, next branch manager, Bosco. Then I found the staff not cooperating with me. My reports were manipulated. And what they did was, they overpromised and underdelivered, and I was against that. And somehow I would do my work. I was very sincere with my team. In fact, every month from my pocket, take out some money and let's have a mini feast. So salary day, all my boys, in fact the boys from other teams would also join me, mini feast. I said, it's on me. Then they would pull in money and we have a mini feast, and I said, let's work, we are here to work. I will train you, I will guide you, but don't do all these malpractices. I will not charge overtime, and I will pay overtime from the little that I can. But the boys, they would put in their money, they wouldn't charge overtime, some would charge overtime, and wherever I went, somehow my team would produce results. And I was shocked to find out that if I achieve a 5,000, they would manipulate it and make that 5 look like a 3,000. So I had performed, and the 2,000 would go to my supervisor. So I started facing all these problems, and I would get depressed, I would get upset. I would come and tell my wife, I can't work here anymore. They will not give you promotions. Don't worry, pray. I said, what prayer, prayer, prayer? This is practical life. How can prayer help me? I'm doing my best, nothing is happening. And one day, the general manager from Bombay, a Parsi gentleman who had interviewed me 3 years ago, for 3 years I didn't get any increment. It was tough. When he came down, I said, this is my opportunity. He came for a regional meeting, and he met all the managers, the officers, the seniors. And then I walked in, I said, sir, I need to tell you something. What? It's not fair. They're all against me. Nobody supports me. They're always finding faults with me, always blaming me, always shouting me, always scolding me. What have I done? See my reports. He turned around, he looked at them. You have a problem with your seniors? I can terminate you right now. I said, please, sir, don't terminate me. I've got a wife, sick wife, and I've got a child who's growing up. I've got a baby girl. Okay, I'll transfer you to Chennai. I said, don't do that, sir. Please, I cannot. I won't survive in Chennai. I don't know anybody out there. Get out, he tells me. And then I walked out. They called me after about half an hour. Given your resignation and leave it blank. And from today, any moment, you will be terminated if you can't get along with your managers. This gentleman, Mr. Sen, 12 years, 7 years, 11 years, 9 years, and you've only served 3 years and you have problems with that? I said, okay. I gave my resignation. I left the date blank. I walked out. I told my wife, sweetheart, pray. Why? I don't know if I'll be able to continue this company, but she said, don't worry, pray. I said, you pray. You're very religious. You're very spiritual. I can't pray. She said, please pray with me. So I went home. She said, let's pray together and trust in God. I said, okay, but I don't know what's going to happen. Any day, I can be terminated. And each day I would go to office, it's like a sword hanging over my neck. But you know what? My team, they heard that. They said, don't worry, Bosco Da and Bosco Ji and all, we are with you. Anyway, you all pray. My wife is praying, and I'll pray. I just said these words. And within a few days, I saw an ad in the paper. It was a company in Noida. I applied, I got the job. I went and showed my parish priest. Good, 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 congratulations. But somehow I felt uneasy about it. I don't want to go to Noida. I don't know anybody in Noida. I said, Jesus, can you give me something better than that? The next day I saw an ad in the paper. Small ad. And I applied. Now, I'm a BCom student. But when I did my 11 and 12, I like to fidget with gadgets. So I did a diploma in electronics, a one-year diploma. With that, I would repair these olden days TV sets and tape recorders, transistors. I could repair and earn a little bit of pocket money. So with that confidence, I applied to that company. I didn't know it was Dell. I got through all the rounds. And I got selected. And in 2004, I landed in Bangalore to start a new chapter in my life. And within the week, I went and I gave in my resignation, and they were shocked. In fact, when they called the staff for a farewell, many of my boys who are trained, they had tears in their eyes, and they said, we'll never get a better officer, supervisor like Bosco sir. I said, I'm going, but Shanti, I said, Shanti with you all. And I landed in Bangalore. And later on I came to know, I'm in touch with them. Manager got suspended, somebody left, and the branch started doing very badly. I felt sorry for them. When I landed in Bangalore, I put my heart and soul into my new job. A commerce graduate with a technical aptitude. So I had to learn from all over again. And I would learn from juniors, from anybody. I would say, teach me, I need to know. In fact, how I got through the final round was, there was a lady who took my interview. She says, can you repair a computer? I said, I cannot repair a computer, but I can try. I will dismantle a computer and I will assemble it again. And if it works, I guess I'm lucky. And if it doesn't work, I need you to teach me to make it work. I'm here to learn how to repair computers. Wait in the next room. My interview with her lasted for only maybe 2 minutes. And with the technical graduates, 25 minutes. In the end, when I got my offer letter, there was another gentleman beside me, an Anglo-Indian, Patrick. And he had been working in this computer field for 13 years. Me, only zero knowledge in computers. And when I saw the offer letter, my heart skipped a beat. My salary was 10,000 more than him. And they started him at A3, the lowest grade, and I got an A4. I said, I'm sorry, I think there's a mistake. Maybe they mixed up the names, a Patrick Steele and a Bosco Andrade. So, they said, no, you deserve that. And one thing I must tell you, before I go for any interview, I make the sign of cross. That's it. And I got that job. I started working hard. I would take help from Patrick, from everybody. And I was doing well. At the end of the training, there was one supervisor from Bangalore, and he hated my guts because, you know why? I would ask too many questions. And he said, you keep quiet. Please help me. Learn. Do. And one day when I hit the floor, I had a technical question, and when I approached him, he insulted me. And I got up and I said, that's not fair. When it comes to the girls, you'll go and put your arms around them and you help them. But when it comes to me or Patrick, you'll insult us and you'll scold us and you shout at us. That's not fair. That's not right. Your job is to help us. He said, I'll show you, man. You see what I'm going to do. Then I said, my time's up. And within 2 days, he recorded a call of mine, and suddenly I was going to get terminated. And I said, that's not fair. I approached my manager. He said, why did you challenge him? I said, the same mistake has been made by 5 people in my team. I'm going to be terminated. That's not fair. Approached the regional manager, and he even didn't like me, the regional manager. He said, too bad. You don't need people like you insulting a supervisor. Your time's up. I said, please give me one last chance. What last chance? Who can help me? Go straight to Michael Dell. I said, we have a general manager. Maybe, please let me appeal to him. Okay, we'll see. And for 1 week, I would come to office, log in, wait over there, log out. Then I called up my wife who was in. I said, I think I'm going to come back. I made a blunder, loud mouth, and pray. That's it. Something happens. Okay. And she started praying. And on the 7th day, the general manager came in his Audi. And they had a meeting with all the bosses, regional manager, general manager, a coach, TSS. About 6, 7 of them were there in that room. Then they called me. And as I entered, he said, talk. I said, sir, I made a blunder. I made a mistake. But I will never ever make the same mistake again. I'm ready to learn from my mistake. Please give me a chance. I've come here to work. I've come here to serve. I've come here to learn. And we are human. We make mistakes. But I believe in learning from my mistake. That's all. I left my family back in Bangalore. My plans are to bring them here to Bangalore. So I believe in working hard. And I admit my mistake. But I'll never make the same mistake again. How? I said, I've written it down and I'll stick it on my computer. I'll never make, I may make other mistakes, but I'm ready to own up my mistakes. That's all. I believe in working hard. And I admit my mistake that I, was rude to my supervisor. Suddenly he gets up, he shakes hands with me, and he tells everybody he stays. We need a person like you in Dell. I believe you can do things for us. Congratulations. And they were all shocked. They thought that I would get terminated and humiliated. And from that day was a turning point. I would go back to office, work for 18 hours, 19 hours, double shifts. And within a week, I started getting all the appreciations. And the same regional manager, that was in August, in December, I got 2 awards from Dell. Regional Manager's Award and some other award. And in 2 years in tech support, I think I got about 7 awards. The best one was appreciation from Michael Dell. So, that has been my life. Wherever I worked, when my back to the wall, I somehow said, okay, I surrender. Jesus help me. And things have turned around. So in PN Writer, I faced that. In Dell, I faced that. Let me tell you about my personal life. I got married in 89, and 1991, I moved into my father-in-law's place, and I found out that in the morning, there was a big fight, educated people for water. Teachers and somebody working in office and all, they used to become animals just because of water crisis. And I said, don't fight. We can solve this problem. Let's divide our time from 6 to 9. We'll divide our time for water. So family A, 6 to 6:30, family B, 6:30 to 7, and 7 to 7:30, give me my time. So everybody agreed, and from that day, there was no fight in the morning for water. And what I did was, I bought a small tulip pump to suck water from the sump, and then I said, that takes 25 minutes. So let me buy a bigger pump. I'll spend more money. I'm working well. And I got a bigger pump. 15 minutes, my tank would be full. So every day, 7 to 7:15, 7:10, my water would be filled, and I would give the time to somebody else. So this continued. 25th December 1991, exactly 7 o'clock in the morning, when I switched to the pump, brrr, smoke came out. The pump burnt out. And for a moment, I felt hopeless, I felt defeated, I felt lost, and I didn't know what to do. And at that time in Calcutta, I was in the parish council, Sunday school teacher, and something or the other. And for once, I lost control of myself, hopeless, defeated, useless, and I started shouting, I started abusing. What the bloody hell? My wife came out. Darling, what's happened? Pump burnt out. Today is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, no water. How are we going to do? Guests are going to come. And I was angry. And my wife saw me and she started crying. Darling, please don't shout. Please don't abuse. Don't worry. Pray. I said, what pray, stupid woman? You go and pray. I scolded my wife. She went and started praying. And I just looked at her faith praying. I said, prayers will not work right now. I've got to solve this problem. 5 days without water. No electrician. No plumber. What am I going to do? And she kept on praying. Our Father, and I believe and all that. I looked at her and suddenly I said, look at her faith. Look at me. Stupid fellow. No faith. Suddenly I looked at her. I said, Jesus, help me. I surrendered. And suddenly from an angry, frustrated, hopeless, useless fellow, not people, and people know me as a, what do you call it? If there are problems, I give them solutions. They've always known me for that. Because of my management or whatever, I'll find solutions, and it works. And here I was defeated. The moment I said, Jesus, help me, suddenly I became a calm, composed, relaxed person. I said, okay, I can do something. I'm not a plumber, I'm not an electrician. I called my wife, stop praying, enough of prayers, come here, come here. What happened? I said, go to that auntie's house, they've got a small pump, and ask them if I can borrow that pump. Take some cake and go, and smile, and wish them Merry Christmas. She went there, morning auntie, Merry Christmas. Why are you crying? You know, our pump got burnt out. And she started sobbing. What happened? Bosco wants to borrow your pump. But today there's no electrician, there's no plumber. Call him. Hello auntie, Merry Christmas. Can I borrow your pump? And that family is known to be very stingy, kanjus. In Hindi they say, they will not lend anything. I said, don't worry auntie. Just give me your pump. I'll fix it to my connection. I'll get my water. I'll fix it back. No problem. You can do it. Trust me auntie. I'll do it. Okay, take it. So I took their pump, dismantled my pump, fitted it, and I had the adjustment from 3/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. I had that. So I did it. Suddenly the cross, I've got water. And I filled my water. I did that. Connected their pump. They got their water. Lovely Christmas. That day, if I didn't see my wife praying in faith, perhaps I wouldn't be here today. I would have turned against Christianity and religion, and I don't know what would I have done. But seeing her faith, that gave me the grace to pray and to solve problems. And it didn't end there. In the evening, I took a walk. All the shops were closed. One shop was open, an old man. I said, you're open today? Yes. Can you repair my pump? I'll do it. I'll give it tomorrow. And then I saw he had second-hand pumps, the smaller ones. I'll buy that. How much? 2,000, you pay me 1,500. So I went and I got a second pump. I was the only person in the whole neighborhood who had two pumps, a big pump, 3/4, and a small. So I would never worry about problems. Each time I'd face a problem, help me, Jesus. So all my life, when I faced with any crisis, I just turn just 1 second prayer, or microsecond prayer, and I've solved impossible problem. In Dell, I told you, twice I would have got terminated by, pointing out the mistakes of my bosses. And I've learned my lesson. I go up to him, I said, I don't think so, you should do that. And people have began to appreciate everything I did. So PN writer, I was going to get terminated. I got a better prospects in Dell. In Dell, hard worker, but because I found faults with my supervisor, I was going to get terminated. My job continued, and I did very well in Dell. Then wherever I worked, I believe, work hard. And before I leave the house, it's become a practice with my family. We make the sign of the cross. And before I start my work, Jesus help me. And somehow, the worst of task, I've done it and I've got fantastic results. So that's it. That fate has led me on. And today, wherever I am, what I'm doing, when I'm against the wall, I don't know what to do. I feel hopeless, I feel lost, I feel defeated. I just close my eyes. And suddenly, for that moment, I'm doing wonders. So I believe miracles can happen, but you have to have that faith to allow you to do things which cannot be done by you. And that's how I've been till today. And I tell everybody, you do your part. Trust in God, He'll do His part. Have a partnership with God. I tell everybody that, whether it's a Christian or a Hindu or a Muslim, I tell them, you believe in God? Allah ko manta hai? Krishna, I said, apna kaam karo. Allah, Krishna, have a partnership with God. And by telling people that, I've been motivating them. Today, I'm retired, I'm working in a school, Satya Seva, honorary service. They pay me a little something. And in that school, that area, all the rowdies, their children are part of that school. and the sisters, they are struggling to, cope with them. But the moment I walk in and I talk to the parents, I talk to the students, I appeal to them, somehow problems are solved. And today all the students, not out of fear of me as a teacher, but I show them that love, they are, doing what it takes to be a student, studying, coping up with the studies. Parents have come to the school to fight, and they have shown disrespect to the principal and to the teachers. And I go up to them, I said, Bhaiya, aisa mat karo. We are not enemies. We are not enemies for your children. Respect the principal, respect the teachers. If they are naughty, they need to be punished. And if your children are naughty, I would blame you as parents, not the children. They're innocent. So you all need to be disciplined. You all need to cooperate. And today parents have come and shook hands with me, and they says, if you want, you can slap me, but mera bachcha ko aadmi banao. In other words, make my child a human being and educate. And today things are working out well for that school. I'm glad that I took on that role. As I'm there as a teacher, I'm also there as a resource person, I'm there as an educationist, I'm a disciplinarian. So I vary my methods to reach out to the students and bring out the best in them. And I tell everybody, and some people say, I don't believe in God. I said, okay. You believe in something, who do you believe in? Science? You believe in yourself? Where do you get your inspiration or your power from, or your guidance from? Somewhere? From technology, from Google? Maybe you don't want to accept the existence of God. That's okay with you. But you need to go somewhere, sometime when you're lost, right? Who do you go to? And no answer from them. I know a Christian who's turned an atheist. Then I tell him, you believe in something, right? Some force. What is that force? Appeal to that force. Maybe that force will help you. And he says, I used to be a Christian, but now I don't believe in God. I said, fine, you believe in yourself, right? No, I don't believe. Who do you believe in? I don't know. I said, you're a confused person. Yes, please help me. And I sat down with that person and I said, see, there is a God above, whether you acknowledge him or don't acknowledge him, but he's there. He's there to love you, to care for you. Just, reach out to him. I'll try. You pray for me. I said, why should I pray for you? You pray for yourself. Who do I pray to? And he tells me, brother, please pray for me. I said, okay. Will you pray with me? Okay. And I took his hand and I said, Jesus, help this man who has fallen out, who doesn't know who to believe to, who to believe in, help him. And I sent him a little bit of scripture. And one scripture that I always quote is, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and everything will be added unto you. And I tell people, simple, whatever work you do, that is from Colossians 3:23. Do it as if you're serving the Lord. You may have your bosses, your seniors, your directors, they're in charge of you. But imagine Jesus is your supreme commander or CEO or director, and whatever you do it for him. And then you see the difference. And that's how I've been living my life all these years, and I will continue. I imagine that Jesus is in control and he's my boss. So if I get scolded or shouted or humiliated and wrongly accused, I said, they're human. I forgive them. Jesus, you take control. So I'm ready to accept any challenge in life because I know he's there behind me. I've got to call out to him, Jesus, help me. And that's it. I know there'll be many more challenges, but I'm not worried at all. During the time of pandemic, I'm also in the civil defense. So I volunteered and I was a COVID warrior. Interesting part. So I would be there with the cops with my gloves and my double mask and my shield and, helping the cops. And then back in church, my wife and I, Sunday school, students were that far. I removed my mask and we were doing Sunday school with kids. Suddenly, I got COVID. My wife Marina got COVID. Jimsy, another lady, she got COVID, and the psychiatrist. 4 of us got COVID, and the church was sealed for 4 months. St. Anthony's covered by Sandra. And I did not panic. I told my wife, don't worry. She's saying, people are dying. What will happen to us? We will not die. This COVID will get over soon. We will not die. And my building was sealed. But somehow, people will come, leave our groceries outside their door after 10 minutes open, that sort of thing. And for 7 days, I kept quiet. I said, Jesus, why did I get COVID? I'm serving those children, teaching them catechism. You know why. And on the 7th day, I got in touch with my group, a spiritual group, and I said, please pray for me. Let this COVID go away. And on the 9th day, they got together in a house. There's one young man, Alfie. He left the church and he became an alcoholic for 11 years, and he hated God, and he challenged God in Logos, and he faced a miracle. 5 years he went into scriptures, and now when he goes out and he prays with people, he's got the gift of tongues, he's got the gift of discernment, he's got the gift of healing. So he called together a family, mother, 3 kids, and he said, put it on loudspeaker, uncle. And an 8-year-old girl, she prayed, and she said, right now the virus is leaving Uncle Bosco's body and is getting healed. Jesus, I'm healed. I jumped up. And before that I was feeling miserable and horrible. But those 7 days I would switch on my phone and listen to gospel songs. Don Moen or any hymns, I would just listen to that and, listen to old movies and sing. I told my wife, don't worry, we'll get out of it. The moment I heard that young girl, 8-year-old girl, saying that, I got up. I said, I'm healed, and I felt I'm a new person. And I went on running around my bedroom. I said, I'm healed, and you'll get healed. I told my wife, and she got healed also. And my daughter, my second daughter, was staying with us. She also got COVID. I said, the way Papa and Mama got healed, you'll get healed. Don't worry. And after that, I went to the hospital, negative. 2 days after that, I was in Palana Bhavan. Nobody wanted to come to Palana Bhavan because of COVID. I went there, I met a couple. And before I take on any case, I make the sign of the cross and I solve their problem. They came with a divorce case. I spoke to them and they united. So after that, the church was open. We had to wear a mask and we started our Sunday school. And things have gone on. So my testimony is, when the worst comes, there's a saying, if God is for us, who can be against us? I tell them that. There are times, I tend to get a little upset and frightened. I said, Jesus, I'm getting worried, I'm getting frightened. Tell me what to do. And then that's it. What I do after that, I don't know. It's absolute faith that, makes me move on. I'm ready for any challenge now. Whatever happens, I know. When I reach out to Him, the way He told Moses, stretch out your hand and the rivers will part. So if I've survived the COVID, as a COVID warrior, I became a COVID victim. And I went back and I served the civil defense and I got 2 certificates and some more to be collected. I didn't bother about that. And they said, you just survived from COVID and you've come back again. I said, so what? I had COVID, I'm healed, nothing happened. Another testimony, a good friend of mine from Calcutta, his wife got COVID and she was in a hospital and she was in the ICU, and the husband also got COVID. He was in a hotel. So wife, ICU in a hospital, husband in a hotel, and their daughter and their child, granddaughter and husband were there. So they were separated. And after 10 days, he called me and he says, if you can do me a favor, she's dying, but I know you've done all this COVID thing and all that. Can you just go and see her and tell her we're praying for her? So my mask and my shield, they didn't allow me. I said, something? I'm a survivor. I had COVID last month. I'm okay now. And I need to see her because she's my cousin from Calcutta. I just want to see her for just 2 minutes. The risk is yours. I said, I just want to see her for 2 minutes. That's all. And I went into the ICU and her, what do you call that oxygen level was around 80 something lead. So I just called out to her. I said, Vero, it's me. I come to see you. We've been praying for you. She opened her eyes and I started talking to her. And I don't know what made me do that. I did a video call and she was able to talk to her daughter and granddaughter and son-in-law. And suddenly I found the level going up. It touched at 91, 92, I forget. And suddenly the office staff was behind me. I'm sorry, so the hospital staff, they were, suddenly it's like she came back alive. And she told her daughter, take me out of this place. They said, Mama, in 2 days we'll bring you home. I said, after 2 days they'll come, they'll take you home. Till then, hold on. Don't give up. We are praying for you. Jesus is in control. I said something like that. And there was a smile on her face. And they told me, please tell her to eat. She doesn't want to eat. I said, eat something. Oh, I don't like this food, this dosa and all I don't like. I like my bread and jam and toast, So I walked away. And for 2 days, she was okay. She was showing improvement. Then on the third day, the staff called up the husband and they said she's giving up. And she told them, they haven't come to take me. I think I want to go back home. They said, you cannot, no, I'm going to go back to my home. She kept telling the staff, my home, where I will not suffer anymore. They couldn't understand that. And somehow my friend called me up. She's saying she wants to go back her home and can you please go again? I said, okay. When I went, I looked at her and there was a smile on her face. So she was talking about going back to heaven. And then I said, okay, Vero, we are praying for you and that's all. And I walked out and a few hours after that, she gave up her life. But seeing that smile on her face, I think the home that she was talking about going back to, our Creator. And then again I went there for the third time for the funeral thing, the arrangements, lot of complications, but somehow it was done. And after she passed away, her husband went into depression, the daughter, the son-in-law, and the only thing that kept them, motivated was that video, which they still preserve till today. I think 2 years have passed. And they keep thanking me. They said, if it wasn't for you, I don't know what would have happened to us. Thank you so much for being so courageous to walk into an area that is highly positive. People are dying and you did it. I said, I didn't fear. And another thing, I didn't tell my wife and my daughters that I was going out to meet this lady who was in the ICU. And when they came to know that, they got very angry with me. My wife called me, you stupid fellow. If anything happens to you, who's there to look after us? My daughters started crying. They said, why did you do that? I said, I don't know. I just went. He's got so many friends, so many relatives. He's got his own group of people. I said, I didn't worry. I'm not frightened. He called me to see his wife and I did it. And at least she died with a smile on her lips. Don't ever do that again. And I did it for the second time and third time. And they were upset with me. I said, why are you worried? Nothing's happened to me. I've survived the COVID. My daughter cried and said, Papa, please don't do these things. I said, I trust in God. And when she faces problems in her corporate life, I said, do your best, but say a little prayer, the way Papa has been doing. And I give a little guidance from my experience. And I said, whatever you do, just say a prayer and wonders will happen. And one day she had to take an interview overseas and she was nervous. And she called, Papa, I'm nervous. I'm speaking to people across the globe. I said, what would Papa do all this time? Just say a prayer. That's it. 2 seconds of trust in God and you'll do wonders. And she did it and she called me saying, something, I don't know what I did, but they all appreciate me and I'm getting promoted. Today she's a manager, content development and all that. She's the promotions and appreciation that she's been getting, she keeps thanking me. I said, thank him. Now my younger daughter, very naughty, bunking college, failing, last minute, I said, see, don't do the mistakes I did. I said, you haven't studied, you don't deserve to pass to graduate. Papa, please pray for me. I said, why don't you pray to Jesus? And at 2 o'clock in the morning, she's phoning up her friends, is this chapter coming? Is this coming? And she studies till about 4 o'clock, and 9 o'clock she's gone to give her exam 10 o'clock. And when the results have come out, she's got a B plus or something like that. Thank you, Daddy. What thank you? Thank God. At least you made that effort. From now on, make sure you do your studies regularly. Don't bunk college. And today she's got a good job. She's doing well. And I've noticed one thing, that habit which I started, my family, we do it. Before leaving, she'll make the sign of the cross and she'll go out. And when she comes back late in the evening, my wife gets worried. She'll come, she'll look at the door, make the sign of the cross. I said, so that has gone into my family. Trust in God always. And I tell each one, there's a God above. You need that strength, that unseen force to help you to do the impossible. Whether it's a Hindu or a Muslim or a non-believer or whatever, I tell them, God is there. Reach out to Him and things will work out. You've got to believe in that. That is faith. And till today, I'm never without, a religious thing which is blessed. I remember once when I had to come back from work, I was working in Dell, would get pick up and drop, but because I would work longer hours, I would use my own my bike, ESD. And one day I had to leave at around 11 o'clock, and they told me, you go right round Alsur Lake, because in between there is this graveyard, and it's haunted, and people have been possessed. I said, I'm not bothered about that. I'm not frightened. And exactly at 12 o'clock, Kalpali in those days was a 2.5 kilometer stretch, pitch dark, no lights. And the graveyard had no wall. It was about that low. And exactly at 12 o'clock, the only light was there from my ESD. And I was singing hymns to Jesus. What a friend we have in Jesus. I was singing loudly. And I passed that stretch. And I came home. I made the sign of the cross. I slept peacefully. The next day, he said, what happened? You didn't get possessed? You didn't get haunted? Nothing will ever happen to me. My Jesus is with me. So that's what I say. If you believe in God, reach out to Him. He'll make you part the Red Sea. If He can take me out of coronavirus from a warrior to a survivor to back to a warrior, just because I said, you've got a purpose for me. And each one of us, He has a purpose for each one of you. Whether to be a good grandfather or to be an uncle or to be a good grandmother, to have a birthday party with your grandchildren, or to be a student, or to be an uncle. But God is asking each one of us to follow His plan. And He'll give us numerous opportunities to do it. That's the time we got to say yes and trust Him, and miracles will happen. So we are called to serve, the way our Lord Jesus said. We haven't come here to be served, but to serve. And I believe in serving in any small way. Maybe a few seconds, do a kind word to someone. And people say only saints can be good, right? I said every saint was a sinner and had a past. And every sinner can have a future. Who do we blame? Who do we point fingers to? Look into ourselves. And the moment you do something good, a smile, a kind word, a helping hand, for that moment, for those seconds, you are a saint. I tell people that. And that sort of motivates them to do something good. I said, do something good in your life. We got 24 hours a day, something. For a second, for a minute. For that minute, you're a saint. So, every saint had a past, and every sinner has a future. How do you get that future? Trust in the Lord, trust in Jesus. He'll give you a future which you can never ever expect. Trust in Him. And that's how my life has been. My wife, she's epileptic. She's coming for bipolar. She's got pain in her leg, 3 leg. With all these problems, people wonder how she's doing it. She's very religious. She's very spiritual. She prays, I don't know how many times a day. Me, my prayer is just a few seconds. Only when my back is against the wall, then that's the time I pray. Otherwise, when I go to church, that's it. I'm being honest. But with somehow getting fits, falling in front of the fire, getting up and cooking, going out on the road, falling down, cracking a head, bleeding, nobody is there, I'm far away, people taking her to the hospital. I come back after 3 years, neighbors are there, and after some time she comes back and she is doing her job as a mother. She is doing her job as a Sunday school teacher. She is doing her job as a good person in the building, in the neighborhood, teaching people how to cook this and how to do that and giving them advice. And where does she get that strength from after getting fits and falling down and burning her hands and going through hell? And each time she gets her fits and falls down, she gets up. I said, thank God you're there. I'm not there always to be with her. I said, it could have been worse, but thank God you're there. I surrender her life in your hands. And I've got so many testimonies how she could have died. When my first daughter when she was pregnant, 7 months, in the 5th month she had malaria, relapse. 7 months she was getting non-stop fits. She had to be admitted. 3 days she was in the ICU. 3 days. Everybody gave up hope. The parish priest came. My friend, who is a priest and a friend of mine, Father Walsh, who married us. People came to the hospital and they started praying, Hindus and Muslims and all that. And I said, what's happening, Jesus? And the doctor said, with the drugs that she's taking, we don't know what's going to happen to that child. It can be a, disfigured child or whatever. And on the 23rd of August, she was due on the 12th of September. They said, we need to remove the child so we can save the mother. I said, do your best. And people prayed with me, Hindus and Muslims and Christians and all that. And my daughter was born healthy. Today she's 32 years and she's a professional. Even my second daughter, miracle. Not supposed to have another child. When I went to Saudi, I lost one kid. Nobody there to help my wife. And I said, Jesus, why that happened? I said, never mind, maybe you wanted us to lose a child. When I came back, no money, all my money got over. I told you 2 years, 4 months, no job. But somehow food came on the table. When Betty was born, my wife was serious in the hospital. And the doctors told my wife, the gynae and the neurologist said, how can you have this child? Your wife is an epileptic. The medicine that she's taking, she should not have this baby. And she says, I trust in God. And I said, I trust in God. Second season, today my Betty, 22 years, healthy child, no problem. I've got many testimonies. I'm not here to give you testimonies, am I? I'm here to tell you all that your faith in God, that unseen force, is something that can take us through the worst of times. You'll see the best of times, you'll see the worst of times, but the moment you turn to God, Jesus help me, that dark tunnel, you'll find a small light. And that light will suddenly be bright sunlight, and it's His victory that will come to yours.